Welcome to No BS Ted. This is Ryan from No Border Sports, the No BS part. I'm Ted from Ted Talks Ball, the Ted part. Coming to you guys live for the first time since the Tuesday right after the Super Bowl. So, Ryan, I saw something today. I was just kind of catch up on the latest. So maybe we'll work backwards towards the Super Bowl from current events towards things that happened more recently or, further back right just after the Super Bowl. But I saw something today about how Kyle's been saying he's fine with the O-line. And the point of that is like basically my title for the show, or at least my thumbnail for the show. Like I showed a clip from the Super Bowl and I just said, this isn't okay. This is not okay. Because it was like Colton McKivitz whiffing, Burford whiffing, two Chiefs coming unblocked. It was the play where eventually, I'm pretty sure, where Juwan Jennings came open out in the right flat in the end zone or near, untouched to the end zone. And somehow, the unblocked guys kept from being able to do what he almost certainly would have done if that was the case. So how do you feel about that statement when Kyle says he's okay with the O-line the way it is?
I hope it's just a smoke screen for draft strategy, because to say there's a glaring hole in the line, I don't think that's true. But to say that to get us over that hump that we need to get over, which is the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, we need to be able to push people around, and we need to be able to hold defensive linemen out of our backfield when our quarterback drops back. So me personally, I'm going best offensive lineman who ever falls to me, whether they're center, guard, or tackle, because you can use those. If it's a center, use them as a guard for, let's say, I don't know, Burford. And we got Feliciano. And I'd rather keep as a swing tackle / backup guard. Just let Feliciano be the backup guy because he's got all that knowledge. He can play in any spot. I'd rather get better in one position at least this year. And you also have to be thinking, this has got to be Trent Williams last year. Right. This has got to be Trent Williams last year. Okay, so we need a replacement for him. Are we going to go out and get one in free agency when we're about ready to have to pay for everything we've tried to push down the road next year? How's that going to work? So I think the way we have to deal with that is through the draft. So if the 49ers aren't coming out of this draft with at least 2 offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds, I think they've really missed an opportunity to really extend that window as much as they can. Not to say that they have a chance to extend the window, but if they don't do that type of a move here in the draft, they won't be able to have a chance to extend that window.
Yeah, and it's not just the cost of a free agent tackle. It's just that there are no good free agent tackles. I guess Tyron Smith is this year, but I think he's overpriced. So yeah, it's very rare that you find a cornerstone offensive tackle in the free agency market.
Speaking of which, looks like Dak won't be extended.
It's a wonderful life. That's subtraction by addition, if you ask me. So I'm happy about that. Speaking of subtraction by addition, there have been a few of those in this offseason too. I guess we have to start with Sam Darnold since he was on our team most recently. But him joining the Vikings, I think, is subtraction by addition. And I think it highlights just what you were talking about, Ryan. Sometimes coaches speak in smoke screens because the Vikings coach was like, oh, yeah, we're happy with Sam Darnold as our starter. And damn well that's not true, especially when they're only paying him maybe a max of $10 million in 2024. And I went on a Vikings channel, Goal World, and Dave, the Purple Hulk, had me on, and he was asking me, he said, hey, Ted, what's the silver lining if Sam Darnold starts for us in 2024? And I said, silver lining is you can get a damn good draft pick in 2025.
Damn good. Well, and who knows? Who knows? He might be able to keep games close enough to where they're heartbreaking at the end.
Yeah, and he says, that's what our coaches said, that they're fine with Sam Darnold. And I'm like, nah, he's lying. You guys are going to move up in the first round to get a better QB there at like 23. Either going to happen draft day, which you should probably hope for because that's where you get the best deals at moving up. Or if you're like us, the Niners, you'll spend a lot more to do it sooner. And like literally like the next day or within 2 days of our show, they traded up for another first round draft pick, which pretty much you can assure will be packaged with 23 to move up for one of these better quarterbacks. I'm hoping that's the same case, like you said, with Kyle and the O-line. Yeah, when we're talking about quarterbacks, Dak being subtraction by addition, Sam Darnold, I think, is subtraction by addition to the Vikings. And then the other one that really comes to mind for me is old Mr. Jimmy G joining the Rams as their backup. I think that's subtraction by addition, too. I think they're going to regret making that move. I mean, I guess he's better than Sam Darnold, but not much. Not as much more as they're paying him, I don't think. How do you feel about Jimmy G? Porn star Jimmy being just a hop, skip, and a jump from the porn capital of the world. Last I knew, San Fernando Valley down there, just over the hill from Hollywood is sort of was the porn capital of the world for a long time anyway. I don't know. I don't keep track of it that closely,
So,
but a friend told me.
When it comes to Jimmy G, if he's starting, the Rams have got an issue. Okay, they don't have as bad of an issue as if it was somebody else, but they still got an issue. So you never want to have your backup quarterback playing. You know what I mean? That's never anything you want. I like what Jesus said right here. Or Jesus, sorry, Chewy. Sorry. He says, I was thinking of drafting 2 O-line in the first round. Yeah. And this is
if we trade Brandon Aiyuk, you mean? Is that assuming we trade?
We
BA?
we could also trade next year's and some other capital to get in this year's first round.
True.
Right? That might be worth doing to get, like a guard and a tackle if you know that they're good. Oh, we've got Brendel and we've got McKivitz on. I think they got like 2 or 3 years. I think Brendel's got 2 more years, and I think McKivitz's got 3 more years on his contract, if I'm correct. And they're not bad contracts to get out of. So it's not like you're going to be paying somebody $15 million a year to sit on the bench if you draft their replacement.
Well, guys, we got some new news on the Dak, $59.95 million. They didn't sign him. Ian Rappaport 1 hour ago.
Oh, what?
A mutual understanding with no offers for Dallas, despite him being a contract year. The owner, Jerry Jones, said, "We are where we are, locked and loaded for this year. No indication that a deal is coming." That's Rappaport. And Bleacher Report Gridiron said Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have mutually agreed to not sign a deal extension per Rap.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't get his extension.
Oh.
That's what I was telling you, bro.
I thought you said he did get it, and I hadn't seen this news then. But
also, if you didn't notice, if you didn't see, Hard Knocks is now going to follow a whole division this year instead of just a team. They haven't announced yet, which is great because we can ask the chat what division they think Hard Knocks should be this year. I know which one I'd pick. I'm curious to see which one you would pick, Ted.
I mean, if you're picking, I guess it depends on what your criteria are. It seems like it's kind of changed because when Hard Knocks first started out,
if you're picking an entire division, how much criteria you're really going to have?
Well, I'm just saying that when Hard Knocks first started out,
what division do you want to see?
I don't want to see the one that I was going to mention first, but I just feel like at first Hard Knocks was always about who's the worst team and let's go follow them and see their dysfunction. And that for me would be the NFC South, with the Bucks, with the Falcons, the Saints, and obviously the Panthers.
That's what I'm trying to see.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you want must-see TV, the most watchable teams in the NFL, you're going to say either the East, NFC West, or NFC North, or AFC North, because they got the Browns, Steelers, and Ravens.
I'd probably
go with black and blue AFC North.
I'm going with.
But I've been saying
I'm going with the NFC North.
Yeah, I was going to say NFC North. I think they're the best division in football.
The reason being,
with the Lions and the Packers, I think they're both contenders this year.
Well, you also got the Bears with the first overall pick, and you've got the Vikings that are in the middle of a kerfuffle. You know what I'm saying? You got freaking icy dead people. Sam Darnold there. Who knows what they're going to do? We think they're going to move up to draft. It seems, but who knows? Who knows? They might ride it. So I think that would be very interesting. The Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions were 2 of the best teams in the playoffs last year, hands down.
Yes.
I'd say it's Niners, Lions, Green Bay. And there was a drop-off after those three teams.
I'm not even sure I'd go in that order. I think I'd put Green Bay ahead of the Lions from their offseason. And because Jordan Love is young, and, we know what Goff is. He's not going to get any better. But Jordan Love, I think, definitely will. Or not definitely will, but definitely has the opportunity, more of a chance to get better.
I was just talking last year during the playoffs. I thought that the Lions were a tougher team until we kind of like smacked them in the face, and they kind of like, I don't know, they like hesitated. And once they hesitated, gapped them.
Yeah, no, it was a huge comeback in the NFC Championship. Absolutely.
Oh, there's also some other news. I don't know if you heard this, but the first game, week 1, will be on Friday in Brazil, exclusively on Peacock.
And it's the Eagles in Brazil. I forget the other team.
Eagles in Brazil, yeah. I forget the other team also.
Eagles look like they've gotten better this offseason, though. I feel like the Eagles had a really good free agency.
That means nothing. And the reason why I say that is because last year, supposedly, they won the fucking offseason. You know what I mean? They supposedly won the offseason. They did all this good stuff. Where were they? They were silent after what? Week 12?
But here's the thing, right? They won the offseason last season due to the draft, which we all know you're doing well if you hit 50% of the time. They won this offseason, at least so far, due to free agency, which is a lot easier to tell what you're getting. And they got that Huff to D end from the Jets. They got Saquon Barkley, which is huge. And they got a good linebacker. Is it Zach Bond? Bottom line is they addressed some needs. Now, cornerback is still a really big need because they lost their nickel, who's really good, Avonte Maddox, or he's at least a free agent and that's still unsigned. And, Bradbury's obviously washed. And some are saying that Slay is washed too. Big play Slay. Big pay Slay. Yeah. is starting to be a drag on their defense.
This is what I'm saying. They might have made moves, but they're still lunkered down with some of the same issues. And it's costing them cap. And last year, they drafted the Georgia defense, the rest of the Georgia defense, championship defense, right? Where did that get them? They got one linebacker, cool. Now they got 1 out of 3 that can hold water.
Yeah, and they also lost.
You know what I mean? They've got issues.
They also lost Fletcher Cox, which is massive. I think they re-signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
I didn't even hear. Yeah,
yeah, Fletcher Cox retired, so he's all the way out of the NFL completely.
You lost Cox and you lost Kelce.
Yeah,
that is huge. That is freaking huge. Those are 2 megaliths on the line, in the center of the line.
Because Jason Kelce
I don't know,
was a huge part of that. The way he was able to get so low as a center.
That might actually cause him issues later on.
Mitch, tell us how you feel about the free agency. I'm saying I feel like you guys did really well in free agency. How do you feel going into the draft as an Eagles fan? He's an Eagles fan, so it's always good.
This is the other thing. I'm pretty sure, now Mitch, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the dynamic on that team is like Sirianni's the head coach, but I don't think he gets to hire the people underneath him. If that's the case, then I think there's kind of like an atmosphere set up to be cutthroaty type of atmosphere, because everybody's kind of looking for their way, their promotion. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's necessarily the best atmosphere for somebody like Sirianni. It might be some of the reasons why he's had some issues. I just kind of wonder why Kelce retired, because I know he came out, said he was retired, and he's like, whoa, I need to think about this, right? Because you have to, you know what I mean? You gotta rationally think about that. And I'm wondering what made him go, yeah, my knee-jerk reaction was the right one. That when he laid everything out. And I think it might have to do with something in the environment in the locker room. And this is all just speculation from my end. But that's what I think it was. And if that is the case that Kelce left, that's also going to be the case. They have issues getting back to the levels that they were 2 years ago, or even earlier this season.
I will say whoever hired their OC in DC. I think they did a pretty good job. They brought in Vic Fangio as the DC. He's widely regarded as one of the best. And Kellen Moore, he's a former Cowboys offensive coordinator. They were pretty prolific on offense while he was there. I don't know about scoring touchdowns, but they definitely racked up a lot of yards. So I think they're a lot better on the coordinator positions than they were in 2023, in my opinion. But obviously those guys got fired. So
I'll give you that. Keelan Mond, the one thing I think about when I think about him is that play in the divisional game, the last play in the divisional game. Like, what are you trying to do with that, homie? Like that, the one where Ezekiel was center, and it was not this year, not last year, but the year before that, 3 years ago. So I think that of that play, when I think of him, and it's hard to like not stop my head slap motion from that.
Mitch was saying Kelce's a family man. He wanted to be with his family more. So
well, every Bill player wants to be with his family more. Like, look at what was his name? Fucking Mac, the center we had 2 years ago. He didn't run it back with us after going to the Pro Bowl.
Alex Mack.
Yep. And he all of a sudden was like, you know what? I just got married. Fuck it. But this is the thing. Like, they had their money. But if you were a family man, then when he first knee-jerked retired, you wouldn't come back out of retirement. You'd be like, yep, family man. I've been waiting for this moment because now I get to do my family man shit, right? And then he's like, wait a second. Nope. Which, I don't know. There might be some remorse that made him have to think about that. But I don't know. If I'm retiring to be a family man, I don't have to worry about money. Once I've made that decision, whether it was knee-jerk or not, I'm not going back from it in any hesitation, really. Because I don't have to. There's nothing, you know what I mean?
What's the difference between like family man and then like a full-time family man where you're doing it morning, noon, and night? That could be a lot for some guys after, most of a lifetime of not doing it. It can be a little bit of a culture shock.
Joe Staley retired, and it wasn't a season until he had a job where he was back and around the area. He wasn't like spending all the time here, this, that, but he had gigs to bring in money, and he wasn't like at home 100% of the times because you're going to go stir crazy. He had to figure out something to do. You know what I mean? I'm sure Jason Kelce will find something to do. He'll probably have like a hobby or start owning a ranch or something. And I could see him throwing around animals out there somewhere.
Just like he did in the NFL.
Let's get back to the Niners.
How do you feel about Jed York taking command and full control of the 49ers from Denise and Dr. John?
I don't know if it'll move the needle. I'm pretty sure he's been running it this whole time. They've given him a leash, and he's done well with his lead. So I think they're like, yeah, you can buy more in the team. I feel he's in a situation where he's more grounded. He's seen what happens when you're driving. I don't know if you got a tire that likes to pull you to one side of the road or not. And, if you jerk back, you've got a chance of overcorrecting and going off the other way. But if you just kind of lean a little bit and slowly get back into the space, you're fine. You're going straight. So I think he figured out how not to jerk the wheel too much and just to kind of get in a good spot, find a good lane, set it on cruise control, and just make sure he's not getting outside of the lines.
He just took his car to Midas and got the tires aligned.
Yeah.
Doesn't veer. No, I'm with you. You're right. It's huge. The pendulum, you call it, where you swing one way and then swing too far back the other way. Yeah, Jed's done a really good job. I hope this just leads to more of the same. I hope, what I really hope is that, I guess I just, while we were talking about it, realized something that could be a little bit of a concern, which is, if before he didn't have full control of the team, like it really wasn't his money that he was spending. And so now he might get into more of a profit over contention type of mindset like some owners do. Like, it's one of the things I really credit Jed for is spending the whole cap, signing big signing bonuses, spending money to keep us contending for the last 6-7 years as we have pretty consistently. As long as that doesn't change, then I'll be happy. And as long as he stays out of Kyle and John's hair, hire the right people, let them do their jobs.
I don't think you're going to see him not not spend the money because he's shown by renting out whole resorts and whatnot for the team to stay at for a week that he's willing to spend that dime because he knows what he gets out of it.
Yeah, and flying the whole team to the Super Bowl. Not just the whole team, but the whole organization to the Super Bowl. I think they were on like 6 jets or something like that, crazy like that. So
yeah, I think that was more of a thank you to everybody, which I like to see personally. I think that's amazing. Keep doing it if you can. I like it when the little guys get. When I worked in the beer industry, I get tickets to the box and I go watch hockey games and all that stuff in the box. All you can drink, all you can eat. It was a great time. Parking taken care of, all that good stuff. I love that.
The only one they shouldn't have taken to the Super Bowl was Joan and payroll because she obviously screwed up, which caused us to lose draft picks. Other than that, I think everybody deserved to go. But that was a little bit frustrating, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was talking with Joe, and Joe's like, look, I'd love for you guys to have all your draft picks taken, but for it to not even actually go over the cap or this or that it's just bookkeeping error. He's like, that's bullshit. This coming from a Seahawks fan, right?
Yeah, that's who hates the Niners for sure. Jesus says if you spend money on Tomsula, he has money, but spend wisely. Yeah, no, he made some mistakes. He backed Balky.
Yeah.
He hired Tomsula. He hired Trip Kelly. But then he hired Lynch. Shanahan first, who helped hire Lynch. And that's been pretty brilliant. Other than no rings, it's been about as good as you could hope for. Also, prayers up for the people in Baltimore. Oh, no, I haven't heard. Is there a mass shooting?
No, it was so at 1:30 in the morning, a big, huge cargo ship coasted into a bridge, and it took the whole bridge down. There might be 20 people or so that are missing. There was definitely, I guess there was a tractor trailer on there.
That's unforeseen.
Straight on, not even like clipped it.
Yeah, just
not even face first, straight into it. Not even, it was head on. Yeah. Bang.
Yeah, which is T-bone, right? Because those bridges sideways and the ship's 90-degree angle. T-bone, yeah. Crazy. Crazy Juice, speaking of crazy, says, well, I feel like we'll get more picks to make up for those picks we lost. Good. I hope so, too. I just hope we don't have to trade players to get them.
We only lost 1 pick, and we lost 4 spots on another pick this year. We went from 131 to 135. We lost a
that's what I was saying when they said we go to the end of the 4th round. I'm like, really? That's not much since we're 31st out of 32 picks. It's not a huge.
Well, I believe it was a comp pick, anyways, but it was just an earlier comp pick because there's so many comp picks for all the teams at the end of the round. So we had one up here, and we got shuffled to the end.
I want more picks, but I want to have to trade players to get them. And it kind of came up earlier about 2 first-round offensive lineman picks in the draft. And the only way to do that is to trade BA. How much credibility do you place in Kyle or I guess it's not like Kyle talking about, it's John Lynch saying that everything's hunky-dory with BA and there's no smoke with the Pittsburgh rumors that Mike Tomlin's like, what's all this talk? Like playing dumb. And do you think BA is just doing flirting or whatever just because he kind of has to maintain leverage? Do you think he's really interested in leaving? Do you think he really wants to stay somewhere in that spectrum? Where do you think he lies, Ryan? You think he wants to be a wide receiver 1 somewhere, which he clearly won't be here anytime soon?
That's not true. So, yes.
Well, the wide receiver 1 that gets tons of targets. He gets tons of targets. I mean, he may end up being our number 1 target, but he's still going to have to share the ball with CMC and Debo and Kittle. Unless Debo get it after June 1st, maybe. I don't know.
Like I said, I think he'll be okay with that. Anyway, so I think he wants to stay here. That's exactly what he wants. That's what you're seeing from him. He went out and he, talked his shit, and it's progressively been getting, I would say, milder. Because it was like, this might be the last time we're here type shit coming out. Then it was like, hey Tomlin, I hear we look like each other. And to me, he's not saying, man, I'd love to play with the talented wide receiver core like what they've got in Pittsburgh. He's not saying that. What he's saying is, this and that. He's a side associate. And today on Instagram, I believe he put out, if you check my thumbnail and my title, he put out a list of emojis that says, money talks, bullshit walks. And that was a response to John Lynch's offer, or not offer, but his comments about we want to keep him and we're working with the team as hard as we can. And I think that's totally true. I think they want Brandon Aiyuk to stay here. I think the issue is money. And I think they're having to use that time and that process to try and get the money worked out. And I think Brandon Aiyuk's just trying to get the money now. You know, it's like for some reason 6 months burns a hole in these guys' pockets, or 4 months, 5 months, whatever you want to call it, whenever it gets done. It's this time burns a hole in these guys' pockets. And either that or they're just so scared that something could happen that maybe they think if they cause enough trouble, it shows that if the team keeps you, they really like you. I don't know. I just think he wants to be here. Who wouldn't want to be? With the way he blocks, he needs to be on a team where he can do all this, I think, because he feels like he's actually doing something. Whether he's getting targets or not, he knows he's a man out there. And I think he knows the scheme. Everybody who plays in this knows the scheme, understands what they're trying to do, and they sell out on that. They're not worried about being number one. They're just making sure that they get theirs both on the field and off. They want their cut, their slice of the pie on the field, and they want their slice of the pie off of the field. They don't need a double slice. They're not looking for a double slice. They're looking for their slice. So that's where I think we're at. I don't know, since Parag is not there anymore, maybe things might move quicker. The 49ers have always been ones to sign people late, right before training camp and all this good stuff. It's always been an issue. You know what I mean? The last, at least 3 years, we've had an issue, and we've been talking about some of our biggest players not signing in this point in time. It was Debo, Bosa. What was it last year?
Fred.
Anyway, yeah, we've had them all. So I just think that this is who knows. We're in a situation we can't judge this one like that with the same clock we've judged it before. Who knows? It could be done within the next 3 weeks. I don't think that, but it might be 2 months. It might be the same time stamp as before. But the thing is I feel Brandon Aiyuk is going to get what he truly deserves, but it's going to be a good deal for the team. I think he deserves a lot.
He does. Have you put a dollar figure on it or a range? I've been saying like 24 to 26.
But I would, yeah.
Or maybe 23 to 25 for low balling. Trying to scrimp a little bit.
And Jesus thinks he's not a top 10.
Top
Sometimes
15.
he drops things. Yeah. Top 10 is, and I believe in the man. I don't want anybody else but him. Even, you could list all these people in the top 10. I'm still like, no, I'd rather have a Brandon Aiyuk because he knows exactly what he's supposed to do. Kyle is so picky about the routes that like 6 inches off is like, 5 yards off. That's how precise these routes are. So to me, somebody like Brandon Aiyuk, who is extremely talented, extremely competent, and knows exactly what is expected of him in the system, it's exactly who I want. He's better than other people in that respect than somebody in the top 10, because they can't just come in here and do the same job right off the get as him. They're going to have to figure it out.
Jesus says if he was Aiyuk, he would overprice himself because the Niners are stupid to overpay Purdy. So you mean like $60 million a year, Jesus? Is that what you're talking about for Purdy? I don't know. I'm getting harder and harder to think of a number that's overpaying Purdy. I think 40 mil, like what Daniel Jones got, would be a great deal. I think 45, 50, somewhere in that is where you start to be in the overpay range, in my opinion. But it's interesting question of what Purdy's worth. Obviously what he was worth in 2022, what he's worth in 2023 when he improved so much, and what he might be worth at the end of 2024 when we can actually pay him for the first time. Do you have thoughts on that, Ryan? Like what you think Purdy's worth now?
Those fucking New York. Yeah. When you said 40 million Daniel Jones money, I just thought, you fucking Giants. How are you going to give like 40 million for Brock Purdy seems decent. But then when you say Daniel Jones gets that, it's like, how are we going to be okay with paying Brock Purdy Daniel Jones money? They so overpaid that guy. It's so
because they overpaid. That's the whole reason why. But yeah, it's hard to tell him that.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Damn you, Giants.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do think that a Brock Purdy contract will also be a team-friendly deal. I think
Well, I
I
mean,
think Brock Purdy will want to play on a team that has weapons, that has good guys. And I know the PA will make him take a certain amount of money for the most part.